Centenarians, which, as you all know, is somebody who lives to 100. Who's closest to 100 of the elders? Is it
Doreen?
It must be Doreen, isn't she? What's she? She 80?
90.
90. She's 90. Of course she is. Yes, it was a big thing. You don't just get a card on your 100th birthday. You get it on every birthday after that, I think.
Oh.
And in fact, one of the centenarians got fed up with it and told him to stop sending them.
Yeah, because they don't change the photo very often.
No, which I rather admired. This is Bard ADI. Have anybody heard of Bard AI? That's the one that's the artificial intelligence from Google called Bard. Is that after Shakespeare, do you think? I don't know. And this was supposed to be some witty and ironic titles. The Secret to a Long Life, Don't Die. 100 Years of Wisdom, A Century of Stories. A Life Well Lived. They were not very ironic. A Life Well Lived, The Lessons of a Centenarian. The Silver Linings of Getting Old. The Joys of Growing Old. The Art of Aging. And so it goes on. The Fountain of Youth, It's Not Where You Think It Is. The Best Years of Your Life, They're Ahead of You. The Wisdom of the Elders, A Treasure of Insights. Well, that's us, all right, isn't it? The Joy of Living, A Centenarian's Perspective. Secret to a Happy Life. The Art of Living a Full Life, It's Never Too Late, Joy of Being Alive, and so on. So, how many 100-year-olds are there in the UK? Well, it was estimated in 2020 that there were 15,834, which is not that many, really. Over 12,000 are female, just 2,700 were male. So there's a real female bias towards getting very old. Though this is the statistic which I haven't really checked up on, but which she came up with. Estimates show that around 1 in 3 of today's babies will live to 100, which is incredible, considering now it's about 1,000.
Medical things have improved a lot.
Yeah, they have. They're definitely health.
You know, I was thinking that the other day, and this is why probably I'm here, because not in my genes. Well, I would have, in the old days, I would have died of cancer, of breast cancer, which killed my mother at the age of 57.
Yeah.
And I had it at 73. And I'm still here. Very fortunate. And I'm 87 now, so that's 14 years ago.
Yep. You live much longer than your mum, as I've lived much longer than my dad as well, which I think that's for most of us, isn't it? But,
yes.
My dad died at 98, and my mum died 6 months before her 100th birthday.
Wow. Well, you're definitely getting there, Jackie.
And my granny lived till she was 93, and my other aunt lived until she was 96.
Well, so you're just a show-off family.
Yeah, no. Do I want to live that long? Anyway.
Well, interestingly,
but the 3 women all had dementia. So what does that say?
That's not a good way to end, is it? But if you see, the oldest person on record was Jeanne Calment of France, who died in 1997 at the age of 122 years and 164 days.
Wow.
Which is very long, isn't it? 122 years. It's unbelievably. And those are 2. I thought it was nicer to show some pictures of them when they're younger rather than just when they're kind of old.
Yes, when they're old.
There she is, age 20 in 1895.
Gosh.
She only died in 1997. So she's still the oldest. Well, there of course, there are all sorts of people who claim certain ages, but all these are ones that have been verified in various ways. So it tends to, I imagine, go towards the more advanced countries that have had better forms of documentation for longer. So I think that's partly why it's so skewed towards developed countries, but maybe also to health and sort of food that people have. I don't know. Now, this is the world's oldest, verified oldest living man, following the death of Spain's Saturnino de la Fuente Garcia in January 22. And of course, the problem with these records is that they change quite a lot, because very old people tend to die, which is understandable. So it's hard to actually keep up to date to exactly who is actually alive at the moment. But as far as I can make out, Joan Mora Perez is still going strong, and Venezuelan, South American, and wearing a cowboy hat for some reason. And this is the American-born Spanish. There seems to be quite a lot of Spanish people involved in this. Lots of Japanese as well. Spanish a super centenarian is one that's lived to 110 or more. She's aged 116 and 17 days. The world's oldest verified living person since the death of Lucille Randon on 17th of January 2023. So that's the person who's got it at the moment. She's the one on the left. So I think that's rather a nice picture of her, really.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the oldest living validated super centenarians. As you can see, Japan, USA, Japan, USA, Japan. Japan seems to come out very well, and so does America. But there again, remember, America's got a very large population as well. So this is the actual number as opposed to the percentage, which is very good. And that comes from Al Jazeera, weirdly. So Forbes, an American magazine, did a survey of old centenarians and asked for them for the common features which led them to lead a long life. And they always come up with these things. And it always sounds a bit trite to me, but maybe it's true. A positive attitude. Well, yeah, I suppose. Helps having that. The diet, they go on about the Mediterranean diet and things like that, though all the actual research shows that you know, a lot of the people who've lived a long time were smokers for a start.
Yes.
Exercise, yeah, maybe. Faith, well, clean
Weight,
living,
I think, is
whatever
important.
clean living is. Well, not drinking. There are a lot of centenarians who certainly still have a tipple. A loving family.
Everything in moderation, really.
I suppose so. I suppose so.
Yes.
I mean, if you live a crazy wild life, you as you know, the stereotype one for pop idols, then you don't tend to live very long. But I tend to prefer the more cynical views, really. I like, this is Bob Waiton, who will come on to, who's actually English, and he was the world's oldest man. I don't know why I'm still here. I've got nothing to do with it. It's all up to nature. So he doesn't make any. And here's some other quotes from centenarians. I never drink anything stronger than gin before breakfast. That was from W.C. Fields, who lived to 100. And Sophie Tucker, famous singer, an actress. The secret of longevity is to keep breathing.
Yes.
And I like this from, I didn't know Elizabeth Taylor had lived this long, but I think people should be free to engage in any sexual practices they choose. They should draw the line at goats, though. Elizabeth Taylor. Kind of weird thing to say. Somebody else, I can't remember who said this. The secret to a long life is to never eat anything that has a face or a mother. Meaning, I suppose you should be vegetarian. The secret to a long life is never to go to bed angry. You'll wake up dead. So I prefer these type of quotes to the more sensible ones from before. So the oldest man in the UK at the moment is John Tinniswood, born in August 1912, the year my parents were born as well. He's currently 110 years old. The oldest woman in the UK is Ethel Caterham, born in 1909. She's currently 113 years old. So it isn't a big difference. Yes, actually, this is one for you, Derek. He's from Liverpool, and he's a Liverpool FC fan. So there you go.
That makes me depressed. That
you got another 30 years of this misery.
Recently we did a writing thing on our grandparents, and my nanny, my Irish side, we all call nanny, and my cousin from America, Robbie, sent me this picture of her when she was a young woman.
Striking.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't.
I
That's
can't see it.
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I can't see
She
it.
looks very modern, doesn't she, Derek?
Yeah, she
I
does.
mean, it's incredible. You know
Oh,
when
yeah.
you've only seen
Ah,
the-
that's better. Now I see it.
as an elderly person, I only saw her in her 70s and 80s,
Mm.
and she looks fantastic. I mean, she looks very much like my Auntie May.
Yeah. She's a bit of a stunner, actually.
Yes,
Yes, she
indeed.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, John Tinniswood, he said the secret to longevity is eating battered fish and chips every Friday.
Oh, lovely.
There'd be a challenge to that, wouldn't there?
He's got
That's
a
a
really
marvellous
good,
reason
a
for
really
eating
good
it.
sense of humor. He's obviously a great guy, which it's nice to see, and he's obviously compos mentis with it, which is really important too. So good for him. He was I think he's one of my favorite centenarians. The oldest woman in the UK is Ethel Caterham. She's currently 113 years old, and she's still going strong. And she says, "Thanks to a lion and a bacon butty every day."
Oh, bless.
Well, yeah, this is the sort of advice I like.
Yeah.
She was a professional singer, usherette, and Woolworths worker during her career. She's got 10 great-great-grandchildren, and she lives in a care home in Surrey. She drove until she was 97. Does anybody else know somebody of nearly that age who was in a crash, famous person who was in a crash recently? Dick Van Dyke.
Yes, he was, wasn't he? I did see that.
He was in a serious crash driving at the age of 98, I think he is.
Oh,
That's
goodness.
right.
Yeah, so I don't know what the current prognosis on him is, but I thought that related to it. Interestingly, in 2020, Ethel contracted COVID during the pandemic, and she successfully recovered, making her one of the oldest known survivors of the disease.
Wow.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Must have good lungs.
Yeah. But everybody's wearing masks. Just be careful, I think, there. This is the oldest man. He passed from Hampshire. Again, somebody else who great sense of humor, I think. He was the world's oldest man before he died at 112, from Hampshire again. He attributed his longevity to avoiding dying. And said he had no secret formula for reaching his age. And that I think is in some ways is just because somebody's old doesn't mean they're full of wisdom, does it necessarily?
No.
I'm not saying that they don't have wisdom, but just because you get old doesn't mean you necessarily get any wiser, as we all know. Yeah. So good old Bob. Anyway, here are the population estimates of people aged 100 and older. That is, they helpfully put centenarians in brackets there for you, in the United Kingdom from 2002 to 2016. So you can see there's been a gradual increase.
Ooh.
So not huge numbers though, are there? And it seems to be leveling off a bit. And maybe, yeah, I wonder what it'd be like given the pandemic. It doesn't really catch the pandemics, does it? It doesn't at all.
Yeah.
So I think it might have leveled off more recently. Be interesting to see those stats. So that's from the Office of National Statistics. And as you can see, the imbalance between men and women is pretty stark.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
And this is an international comparison. Again, it's got Quebec in because I think it was done by a Canadian body, their human mortality database. And you can see where the USA is at top, but there again, it's because it's got a large number of people. It's being overtaken by Japan, which has got about half the population of the States. And I think the Japanese diet, I think, is particularly good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they do particularly well with that. And I thought to find the oldest person in, this was the oldest person in Manchester until recently. She died at the age of 110. Edna McClure from Blakely was a member of the Super Centenarians with less than 80 people worldwide currently recognized as 110 or older. So that was that was her. This is the one I could find most recently, who is still alive and in Hayward. So that's where my grandparents came from Hayward, which is near Rochdale. She looks pretty together, doesn't she?
Yes,
Mm,
God,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She does. So I don't know why they put those sashes and things on people. It's a bit, I don't know. And look at the way the way the person's clasped their hands on the bottom left. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. She's 110 and in November, and 110 and a few months at the moment, unless, because I haven't heard that she's died. I think it'd be in the evening news if she had.
I love her hairstyle. She's got a really trendy hairstyle.
It's cool, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, it's very cool. I rather like her clothes, rather bright blue and the yellow, you know, rather than usual thing. Good for her. Good for her. And a nice cheerful face.
She has. She looks happy.
Yeah.
Supporting Ukraine.
Yes.
Good point. I hadn't noticed that one. Blue and yellow, quite right. And this is just for fun.
Oh, I like
I got Dali, my favorite generator of images. And these are what I thought: a group of older men and women aged 100 plus, some in wheelchairs, others waving walking sticks, painted in the style of David Hockney in an optimistic mood. There's one. And they always give you 4. There's 2. There's 3. And there's 4. They're good fun, aren't they? The great thing about Dali, if you're ever doing things like this, is that they are they're free. They're free to use because everyone's original. Oh, and this is my favorite centenarian. I hope you can see if you can hear this. Let me know, otherwise look at that.
I am Grace Lynn. I am 100 years young. I'm here to protest our school's district book banning policy. My husband, Robert Nichols, was killed in action in World War II. At a very young age, he was only 26. One of the freedoms that the Nazis crushed was the freedom to read the books they banned. They stopped the free press, banned and burned books. The freedom to read, which is protected by the First Amendment, is our essential right and duty of our democracy. Even so, it is continually under attack by both the public and private groups who think they hold the truth. In response to the book banning throughout our country and Martin County, last year, during the time I was 99, I have created this quilt to remind all of us that these few of so many more books that are banned or targeted need to be proudly displayed and protected. And read if you choose to. Banned books and burning books are the same. Both are done for the same reason. Fear of knowledge. Fear is not freedom. Fear is not liberty. Fear is control. My husband died as a father of freedom. I am a mother of liberty. Banned books need to be proudly displayed and protected from school boards like this. Thank you very much.
Brilliant stuff.
That was good, that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's good
What's
to
wrong
see
with
somebody
people?
still got that kind of get up and go at that age to, you know,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good to see activism can be good for you as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important.
Mm.
Okay, to the barricades, folks.
Yes. Yes. People shouldn't be sitting indoors and just staring at screens all the time, should they? No, they should be out there doing stuff.
Go out and smash something.
And the other thing, which I think is very well, a couple of things unrelated to centenarians, but the what's happening in France at the moment we're getting very little actual publicity about it. Whereas if you go on my favorite channel, TikTok, you find out all about it. And the fact that firemen, policemen are actually throwing in their badges and going with the protesters in France at the moment. There's something really radical and really different happening over there, and we should be more aware of it.
Back to the subject. Is there any study that rates how happy people are to live till 100?
Good question. I haven't checked on that. I will do. Yeah, but yeah, good point.
Quality of life is rather important.
Well, I think the problem, if people have dementia, then you can't really even ask them, can you?
Oh,
But for those who are, yeah, it's interesting whether some people just want it to all end, or they're happy and proud and whatever till the end. It's a good question. Good question.
so
Yeah, I do find this end of life pathway rather disturbing. You know, I worked in learning disability for a long time, and I know that, you know, the perception of what is a quality of life, I don't think anybody has the right to say. Only maybe the person suffering it and the person who knows them best.
Yeah. Now,
and this does worry me, this end of life pathway.
On the subject of centenarians, Jon Snow did a 2-part program recently on living to 100, and went to America and Japan and various other places. It was absolutely fascinating, and especially the one in the States, which was based on religion, which was all a bit sinister.
yeah, yeah.
Do you think we'll all be here when we're 100, zooming away?
Maybe one of us will just be. Anybody there?
Depends on the statistics, how many of us will be left.
You're muted.
Okay, yeah. So it's all going to end very soon. Well, this broadcast is.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Thank you.